So I know if the resolution is coming down, I'll just make some minor adjustments here.
Sure, sir.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. I think I have already shared with you the detailed notes of transportation problem which we are going to start today. I have given the basic steps to be followed, the theory part, and also the problems, the exercise problems are given. The questions which I've given now, those problems I'm going to solve in the class. And once the class is completed, I'm going to share extra questions which you can practice. Okay. Now the questions which I've shared now in the PDF material, those are the problems which we are going to solve in the class today. Because yesterday I found that in case if I'm dictating the question, you may not be able to understand the question clearly. So I thought I should be even sharing the questions also so that you can relate the answers and questions. Right? I think around 6 questions I've shared today. So those 6 problems will solve in the plot. And the similar questions I'll give you or maybe I'll post you after this class. Okay? Is that clear to all of you? Yeah. Okay. So today we'll start with the new module which is called as transportation problem. As I already told you yesterday class, I'm not starting with the module 3 because module 3 requires linear programming problem where graphical method, simplex method and stuff like that is coming, which might require physical classes. I think that would be more appropriate. So we'll see as and when things get a better, we'll probably have it at the end. So I'm skipping module 3 as of now. So I'm starting with the module 4. So module 4 is transportation problem. Okay, so module 4 is about transportation problem. So before we start this class, let's try to understand what exactly this module is all about. I think if you look at the entire production scenario, irrespective of type of industry it is, it could be automobile industry or FMCG, pharmaceutical, any industries which are basically raw material industries, transportation cost plays a very important role in the overall production cost. And as per the latest statistics, it is believed that at least around 35 to 40% of the total production cost is directly attributed to transportation. Right? In case if the company is spending 100 rupees on producing a product, at least 35 to 40 rupees is spent by the company for only transporting this consignment. So which very clearly demonstrates that the transportation cost is a significant cost that is incurred by the company when it comes to production cost. So therefore, all the organizations are really concerned about finding the okay. Sorry, there was a call. Yeah. So transportation cost is something which all the companies or organizations are minimum. Now, this particular chapter gives a clear indication about how operation research or statistical methods can be employed where the transportation cost can be brought down. Now, the most common challenges usually the companies face when it comes to transportation is one is the underutilization. Okay, the first important is underutilization. So, for example, if a truck has got a capacity of 300 metric ton, and if you are not filling entire 300 metric ton, then obviously your production capacity, your transportation capacity is been underutilized. Right? Even though the truck has the capacity of carrying 300 metric ton, and if you are not transporting that much, that means the utility part is coming. So this is one of the very common problems or challenges we have, where underutilization of the capacity is directly attributed to increasing cost. And second thing is the routing part, which is the best route or which is the ideal route which the companies can take up so that the overall time taken to travel the consignment from one place to other place can be made minimum. In fact, we have a second chapter called assignment problem where we are going to understand about the routing in detail. But as far as this chapter is concerned, the entire focus is only about the cost minimization. What method or what means we are able to follow so that the overall cost can be minimum. Let me give a simple example. Let us say a person has to transport a consignment from different places. Let's say there are O1, O2, O3 and O4. These are the 4 origins. Origins are nothing but the place from where your transportation process starts. And from this 4 origin, you are supposed to transport the consignment to 4 different destinations. A1, A2, A3 and D4. Okay. Now, from O1 to D1, a certain amount of products can be transferred. I will just write some numbers. With that, I will try to explain what it is. Okay. Now, if you just look at this entire matrix, how exactly this matrix has to be written? It's very simple. Suppose if I'm transporting a consignment from origin 1 to destination 1, for every single unit of material which I'm transporting, I'm supposed to incur a cost of 3 rupees. And this 3 rupees is called as UTC. UTC stands for unit transportation cost. So what do you mean by unit transportation cost? The cost incurred by company for transporting a single unit of a product from one origin to one destination. Likewise, if you look at the entire matrix, there are different permutations and combinations. If I'm consigning a product from O1 to D2, for every unit it will cost 4 rupees. If I'm sending from O1 to D3, it will cost 5 rupees. Now there are different possibilities given in the problem. With the help of transportation problem, I am supposed to identify which pair of origin and destination is best for me. Although there are different options given to me, by selecting which particular pair of O1 and D1 or O and D, the overall cost can be made minimum. This is the primary objective of transportation problem. Alright, so a transportation problem basically try to address a very important issue of pairing. What am I supposed to do here? I'm supposed to pair. What am I pairing here? I am pairing the origins and the destination. And with what objective I'm supposed to pair? I'm supposed to pair the origin and destination in such a way that the overall cost incurred in this particular process is minimum. So with minimum cost, I should be able to transport, or I should be able to consign maximum items from one place to the other. So this is basically what the overall objective of transportation. Okay, so this is exactly how the transportation problem is designed here. When it comes to different types of solutions in transportation problem, we have two important types of solutions we talk about. The first type of solution is called as IBFS. IBFS stands for Initial Basic Feasible Solution, and the second one is called as Optimal Solution. The second one is called as Optimal Solution. Now, what is the difference between Initial Basic Feasible Solution and Optimal Solution? Initial Basic Feasible Solution is nothing but the various alternate solutions available for one particular problem. So, for example, let's say I'm supposed to transport a consignment from Mysore to Bangalore. This is my objective. If I'm transporting a consignment from Mysore to Bangalore, there are different methods by which I can do it. Either I can transport the consignment from Mysore to Bangalore by bus. Maybe I can say by road. Either I can do it by Mysore to Bangalore by train or by rail. Or I can even go it by air. Or maybe I can even go by, let's say, a simple private consignment sector. In each of these options, the mode of transportation which I have selected here will decide my cost. And we all know that if at all I am selecting air as my mode of transportation, I would be incurring the maximum amount or maximum cost. So, initial basic feasible solutions are nothing but the various alternate solutions available for one particular task. Okay, so in the same example, by selecting different mode of transportation, I would be getting 4 different answers. So the 4 different answers will attribute to initial feasible solution. Or in simple words, all alternate solutions available for one particular transportation problem is IBFS. The next important type is optimal solution. So what is optimal solution? The best possible solution amongst all alternatives. In case if there are 4 alternate solutions available here, I am supposed to identify the best solution amongst the 4. The best solution is called an optimal solution. Okay, so in simple words, IBFS are various alternate solutions, and optimal solution is the best solution. In this particular chapter, we are going to study about these 2 types of solutions in detail. First, we'll try to understand how to find out IBFS. At the second level, we'll try to identify how to find out optimal solution. Is it clear till here, everyone? Any questions or doubts till here?
No, sir, it's clear.
No, sir, it's clear, sir.
11 is started. Any questions till here?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. Now let us take up the first type of solution now, which is called as initial basic feasible solution. So initial basic feasible solution can be solved by three different methods. The first method that we have is called as NWCR. NWCR stands for Northwest Corner Rule Method. This is the first method we have, which is used to calculate IBFS. The second method is called as LCM. LCM stands for Least Cost Method. And the third method is called as WAM. And the WAM stands for Ogle's Approximation Method. Ogle's Approximation Method. Okay. So these are the three methods we have, which can be used to calculate the initial basic feasible solution. Now the next question is, why do we have three different approaches for solving the same problem? See, all the methods that we have in transportation problems are basically iterative in nature. Now what do you mean by iterative? As and when we are able to advance or progress it, the quality of solutions get improved. Say for example, if I am solving the problem by Northwest Corner Rule method, let us assume that the solution of the problem is 200 rupees of the cost. I'm just giving a hypothetical figure to explain how exactly each method is different. The same question, if I'm solving by least cost method, possibly my solution would come down to 175 or 180 rupees. Again, the same question if I solve by the third method, which is Ogle's approximation method, the solution would be 150 rupees. Now, what do you understand from this particular logic here? The same question, method number one will give you 200 rupees solution. Method number two will give you 175 or 180 rupees. When it comes to method number three, you will get the lowest possible cost, which is 150. From these three figures, what do you understand? Anyway, these numbers which I have written is just hypothetical to explain you the difference between each of the methods. Right? Can you please explain, or can you please tell me from the cost point of view how these methods are beneficial? I want people to please reply, otherwise it will be completely disconnected. I want this to be a very interactive session. Can you please tell me from the three different solutions which I've written on the board, what do you infer from this method? What do you understand?
So from the last method, we have got the least amount. So maybe that is the best method to transport. I mean,
very good.
Determine the cost.
Very nice. So initial, as I already took the example of Mysore to Bangalore, which very clearly demonstrates that by selecting the appropriate method, the cost can either be maximized or minimized. All right. In case if I'm selecting the air as my mode of transportation, I would be incurring the maximum cost. In case if I'm transporting the consignment, let's say by cycle, probably the overall cost could be minimum, right? But the point here is not just the cost alone, even time also plays an important role, which we'll take up, I'll try to understand in the next level, right? That's a different story altogether. But from this example, it is very clear that as and when we go to the next levels or the better methods, the possibility of getting the lower cost is always on the higher side. Northwest Corner Rule method will give you the highest cost for the given problem. And therefore, it is not usually recommended method by industries because the cost is something which you're trying to compromise on. Similarly, when you talk about least cost method, although the cost is slightly coming down, but that's not the best approach. So compared to all the three methods, the Ogle's approximation method will give you a solution which is very close to the best solution. I was explaining to you a bit before, there are two types of solutions we try to understand in transportation problem. The first type of solution is initial basic feasible solutions, which are nothing but the alternate solutions for a given problem, all alternates. In case if there are 10 different methods or 10 different approaches, every single answer become an alternate answer to me. Okay, so all alternates are explored in IBFS. But when it comes to optimal solution, my job is to select the one which is the best. Now, if I take only these three examples into account, I can very clearly demonstrate and say that 150 rupees is the optimal solution. But now I cannot directly say 150 is the best answer because I have to verify using optimal solution method whether 150 itself is the lowest possible cost or still there is a scope for further reduction. I can do that, right? I can verify whether the VAM solution what I have got itself is the lowest or still there is a scope for further reduction. And if at all there is a scope of further reduction, I should be doing that. So the method that we employ to get the lowest possible solution for the given problem is called as optimal solution. So the next method is called as optimal solution. So optimal solution can be calculated by a very important method, Modi method. So this is a method that is used to calculate optimal solution. Here MODI stands for modified distribution. It's an abbreviation. MODI stands for modified distribution. So this is the only method we have as far as calculating optimal solution is concerned. Actually, there is one more method called stepping stone method, but that is not there in the part of your syllabus. So we're not discussing it. So overall, in this particular chapter, 4 different methods we are going to study. So which are the 4 methods? The first method is called as NWCR method. Second method is called as least cost method. The third method is called as Vogel's approximation method. And finally, in the optimal solution, we are going to study about Modi method. So everybody clear about the 4 methods now? Any doubts?
Yes.
Okay. You might get a question in the exam, like which are the different methods used to calculate IBFS or initial basic feasible solution. Then what would be your answer? There are totally 3 methods to calculate IBFS, which is NWCR, LCM, and VAM. Similarly, they can ask you a question, what is optimal solution and which method is used to study or calculate optimal solution. So optimal solution is nothing but the best possible solution for a given alternate solutions. Amongst all the alternates, if you're identifying the best, and please remember, whenever I'm talking about the best solution in transportation problem, the best refers to lowest cost. In the entire cost perspective, the word best is always related to the lowest cost. So, how the lowest cost is that is always considered to be best. Okay. So, as far as optimal solution is concerned, the Modi method or modified distribution method is the method that is used to calculate the value of optimal, which we will take up later once we have completely understood about the IBFS. Okay. So, are you all clear with the theoretical aspect of this chapter now? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
So,
Did you got a clear about what
Yes,
is
sir.
transportation, why it is used, and what is the application of it in general sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's fine.
Yes.
Then now we'll start with the first method, which is called as Northwest Cornwall method. I want you to, if possible, parallelly even open that PDF document which I just shared around half an hour back. There you can take the examples. Totally 6 examples are given. I mean the question. I'm solving the same questions now, so that you'll be able to relate the question and answers. So the same questions which are there in the PDF, I'm going to solve. So I'll start from the first method. The first method is example 8.1. I think if you just look at your PDF document there, the example 8.1 happens to be the first problem under NWCR. Okay. Anyway, I'll read it also, but parallelly you can just see the question so that you can easily relate how the question appears in transportation problem. So I'll just start with the first question now. Example 8.1. 8.1 is the problem which is there in the PDF document, which I'm going to solve now. Okay. So shall we start solving the problem?
yes, sir.
Hello? Okay. Let me
Yes,
read
sir.
the
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. The question goes like this. Obtain the initial basic feasible solution. Initial basic feasible solution is nothing but IBFS. In some question paper, they'll directly ask you calculate IBFS for the following data. Few examiners just say find the transportation cost. That's all one and the same. So don't be under confusion. Either they can ask you initial basic feasible solution, or the question could be straight away find out the transportation cost. It's one and the same. Okay, whose cost and rim requirement is given below. Now, there are 2 important things to be understood when a question in initial basic feasible solution is given to you. There are 2 ways of asking question in the exam. The first way is they will not specify which method has to be used to solve the problem. Like this question. This question in they've just asked you to calculate initial basic feasible solution, but they're not mentioning which method has to be applied. Should I be solving by NWCR method or least cost method or Ogle's approximation method, there is no clarity. So whenever you have a question where the method is not specified, then you have the freedom to select any method of your choice. You ಮೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ method ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ solve ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. There is no restrictions in that. But in case in the question paper, they specifically tell you the method to be applied, then the only same method has to be solved. Since we are starting with the first method, let me solve this problem by northwest corner rule method, and then we will proceed with the other methods. Okay. Now, although the question is not speaking about any specific method, but for the sake of understanding the method, we are solving this problem by northwest corner rule method. All right, everyone is clear now? I am solving this question by the first method, which is called the northwest corner rule method. Okay. So let me just write the question. The question is given like this: origin O1, O2, O3, O4, and D1, D2, D3, D4, 2, 3, 5, 1, 7, 3, 4, 6, 4, 1, 7, 2. This is not D4 is not there. It is called a supply. Supply is given as 5, 8, 7, 15. Similarly, then given demand as well. The demand happens to be 7, 9, 18. Okay, now this is the question given. So before we start with the transportation problem, there are certain prerequisites for the question, which is very important. I want everyone to please remember this prerequisites very clearly, because these prerequisites are applicable to all the methods in transportation problem. Okay, first one. What are the first prerequisite? First prerequisite is you should be able to understand how to read this question. I don't want people to learn this chapter very mechanically just from the examination point. You should also be able to appreciate how exactly this method or this problem is actually applied in industry. That is something which is really needed. Okay, how do we read this question? That's the first point. If you look at this entire data, it is very clear that there are totally 4 origins. O1, O2, O3, O4 are 4 origins. So what do you mean by origin? The place from which the journey starts. That is origin. Similarly, there are 3 Ds, D1, D2, and D3. We call it as destination. Now, what is destination? Where your journey ends. The starting point is called as origin, and the ending point is called as destination. Now, against each O and D, there are different numbers written over there. Now, what do you understand from these numbers? Very clear. Please understand. Suppose if I am transporting a consignment from O1 to D1, for every single unit of product I transport, I am supposed to incur a cost of 2 rupees. Similarly, if I am transporting a consignment from O1 to D2, for every unit, the cost is 7 rupees. O1 to D3, the cost is 4 rupees. It means all possibilities are given clearly in the matrix. If at all I am transporting the consignment from one place to other place, what is the cost incurred by the company for doing it, which is called as UTC. Right? So all these values, whatever we have, except the supply and demand, these values are called as UTC. So what do you mean by UTC? Unit transportation cost. Okay, so what is unit transportation cost? A unit transportation cost is the cost incurred by the company for transporting a consignment from one origin to one destination. Okay, so in any transportation problem, typically you will always have the values of UTC. So unit transportation values will be given to you. Using that value, we are supposed to solve the problem. That is one part. Second part, what is the demand and supply? See, we know that whenever you're transporting a consignment from one place to other place, you should know how much I should supply or how much I should actually transport. You cannot simply indefinitely or without any count, you can't simply load the items and send it. There has to be a certain figures, right? So demand and supply is basically about how much quantity has to be transported from one place to other. Are you understanding? What is the demand and what is the supply? So these two values decides the total consignment value. Unless and otherwise I know how much consignment I'm supposed to be transporting, it doesn't make any sense. There has to be a clarity about it. Like how much goods I'm sending from one place to other place, which is also becomes an important part of the question. Right? So in all transportation problem, 2 different data are very important. The first data is the unit transportation cost, and the second data is your demand and supply. Now, there is one more important thing here. In all question papers, instead of using the word demand and supply, they might use different terminologies. Sometimes some examiners use the word like requirement and availability. Sometimes they say X and Y. They'll not even define what it is. So don't worry about it. So apart from the unit transportation cost, whatever other values we have in the question paper, they're always demand and supply. And their positions can be interchanged. Rows nalli demand barbodu, columns nalli supply barbodu, or they can use any other terminology. The meaning or the labeling is not very important to me. Only the data is important to us. It again depends on the examiner. They can use different words interchangeably. Okay. Now, did you all understand the pattern of question? What exactly the question is all about and how to read the question?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Because my concern is always, I always believe that you should be able to learn concepts with the help of the application, not just mechanically solving the problem and forgetting. So you should really able to appreciate how this is actually applied in industry. Okay. Yeah. I think I'm pretty confident that you should be able to understand this clearly till here. Now let's start with the second, solving the problem. As I already said, there are certain prerequisites to be taken here before we start solving the problem. Now, what is a prerequisite? The first important prerequisite is verify whether the given transportation problem is balanced or unbalanced. This is the first important point to be verified before we start the problem. Are you getting the point here? Before we start solving the problem, I am supposed to verify whether the given transportation problem is balanced or unbalanced. Okay. Let me quickly ask you a question. You can imagine or you can just do a wild guess, absolutely no problem. Can anybody please tell me, how do we actually verify this step? How do we know whether the given problem is a balanced problem or unbalanced problem? Even you can give me your wildest of imaginative answers, no problem. Right? Just give a try. How do we
The
verify?
demand should be equal. The demand should be
equal.
Any one person, because I'll not be able to hear you properly. Yeah.
Sir, is it the supply and demand respective value should be added and they both should be equal?
Excellent. Yeah. So it's always, whenever we talk about a balanced or unbalanced problem, it is always the total of demand and the total of supply. So the first important prerequisite for transportation problem is you will be able to proceed to solve the problem only if the problem happens to be balanced. One way a question of balance agilla andre. If it is not balanced, then we cannot proceed with the question. It has to be balanced and then we have to solve the problem. So as he rightly pointed out, the way we identify whether it is balanced is the total of supply should be equal to total of demand. This three values total should be equal to this value. If both the totals are same, then we call it a balanced problem. Can you please total supply value and tell me how much you get?
34. 34.
So 14,
Yes, sir.
26, 34. Can you please find the total of demand? How much you get?
34.
Okay. So now it is clear that the total of supply is equal to total of demand. So what do you understand from this step now? Whether can I call this problem as balanced problem or unbalanced problem?
Balance.
Balance.
Because the total supply happens to be equal to total demand. But when we solve the problem in transportation, there are some mathematical notations we are using to denote this. Verbally, this is exactly what the method is. But when you're writing the answer, it has to be expressed with certain notations. A notation is like this. Summation of AI is equal to summation of Bj. Now please understand, summation is nothing but total of certain elements. Now A always refers to supply and B always refers to demand. Are you understanding? Demand and supply values same. Whenever you are writing the values of individual row total, that is always A. Individual column total, it is always B. Okay? So now, in order to prove or say that it is a balanced problem, I am using this notation. So what is the notation I'm using here? Summation AI is equals to summation Bj. That is the total of row is equal to total of column. There exists an initial basic feedback solution. This is what I'm supposed to write before I start solving the problem. Is everybody clear with this step now? A refers to total of the supply and B refers to the total of demand, and this is a simple ulta e baratala if there exists the correct. Andre an initial basic feasible solution is a possibility only if this condition is satisfied. Only if demand and supplies are equal, then I can think of IBFS. Because there exists the unit. Okay, there exists an IBFS only when this condition prevails. If this condition doesn't prevail, then there is no scope for IBFS. So this is the first step you have to. Yav method adru paravagilla. Without verifying the conditional balancing, you are not supposed to solve the problem. Idu unbalanced adre hege madodu anta I will teach you later. First we'll try to understand how to deal with balanced problem. Okay, even unbalanced problem also will come. I'll tell you later how to actually make it balanced. Okay, sorry, there was a call. Till here, everybody is clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now let's start the problem now. Okay. I'll just erase this part here. You please tell me whether you're able to see the board, because I've just drawn lines here just to make sure that I'm drawing everything within that frame. Okay. Now the basic condition is verified. Now we'll start solving the problem. I want you just recollect your accounts problems. Now accountancy problem solve madbekadre for every single problems in accountancy there is a proforma or a template. You all remember? If you're solving a problem for let's say journal entry, there is a specific way of drawing the columns. If you are doing a cash entry or single ledger or a balance sheet, trial and error balance, for everything there is a template. You all remember that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Even in transportation problem also, you are supposed to solve the problem using a particular template. Now the question is, in case if I'm not using this template, does it lead to wrong solution? No. Your solution is not affected by your template. It is just a gesture. Since we have a universally accepted format, we'll do it. You have a balance sheet ge ide tara line hakidre ashte nim balance aguttilla. Ultimately, it all depends on how you solve or calculate the values there. Right? Your proforma really doesn't reduce or increase the effectiveness of your answer, but we commonly follow a template so that people are clearly able to distinguish one method from the other method. Otherwise, this particular template has no relevance or no significance as far as solving the problem is concerned. Okay, so let me make it very clear to you. So I expect everyone to follow this template so that there'll be absolute clarity and no confusion when it comes to solving the problem. So let me tell you how to draw the template. Template andre tumba rocket science ella. It is just a small table where this data is actually entered. Okay, let me write that. As usual, just I'm writing the values now. O1, O2, O3, and O4. Okay, so here we have demand. DD is nothing but demand, and here I'm writing SS. This is nothing but supply. This is D1, this is D2, and this is D. Okay, just written. I know everything is cell, and each compartment is called a cell. Please remember, every single compartment is called a cell. Here now, this table ready. Once this table is ready, now I'm supposed to post the entries. How do I post the entries? That's the next question. Okay, please look at the board clearly here. All these values, what is there? It is called a UTC. UTC stands for unit transportation cost. Now, how do I write this value in the table? Very clear. From O1 to D1, the value is 2. How am I supposed to write the value? The 2 has to be written on the top corner and close like this. So this is called as lattice squares. Then on technical lattice squares. Okay. You might be wondering what exactly this, why exactly we are following this method. There is a software called Tora. Tora is one software, like how you solve the problems of statistics using SPSS. Similarly, we can solve the problem of OR using Tora. In Tora software, whenever you solve the problem of any transportation or assignment or whatever it is, the output in that software will come something like this. Okay, the output of these problems generated in that software appears something like this, and therefore the same method is actually used by all the authors whenever we were solving problem manually. Otherwise, there is no significance. Okay, it is just we are trying to replicate the output of Torah the way we solve manually. Is that clear to everyone now? Everybody is clear with this method?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now let's write down all the values here with this. So the second value is 7, the third value is 4. Again here it is 3, 3, 1. Then it is 5, 4, and 7. And this is 1. This is 6, and this is 2. Okay. Only the unit transportation cost has to be written in lattice square, whereas the demand and supply should be written as it is. Please remember this step clearly. Only the unit transportation costs are supposed to be written in lattice square, whereas the demand and supply value will write as it is. You don't require lattice square for that. So it is as it is written 7, this is 9, and this is 18. Here the supply is 5, 8, 7, and 15. Now the question is ready for solving. I think everybody is clear till this step here. I've just rewritten the entire value in a common format. Okay, so once this format is ready, now let's start solving the problem. As I already said, this method is called as northwest corner rule method. Now let me ask you a simple general knowledge question. Okay, now on the diagram. We all know that basically there are 4 directions: east, west, north, and south. All right. Either jotege, there are 4 more directions. Which are the 4 more directions along with this, which are commonly used?
Northeast,
In railways, the Indian railway divides their zone based on these 4 directions actually. Which are the other 4? Can you please tell me?
Northeast.
This is northeast. This is northeast. Southwest, and this is southeast.
Southeast.
Different zones of railways. Similarly, even in this northwest corner rule method, the same principle is applied here. Andre, when I'm talking about the northwest corner rule method, the method says that you should always start addressing this problem from the northwest direction of the given table. That's all the logic here. In any way rocket science, we are just trying to start allocations of this problem from the direction. From which direction am I supposed to start here? From the northwest direction. This problem in this particular question, can you please tell me which number or which value is located in the northwest direction? Can you please look at the table and tell me the answer now? In this entire table, which element is placed in the northwest direction? How's it there?
2.
Very good. So in simple words, the number which is exactly located on the left top position. In our left top position of ಯಾವ number ಇದೆ, that particular value is called as northwest value. And in the northwest corner method, I am supposed to always start solving the problem from the position where the northwest element is placed. And that's why this method is named after northwest corner rule. Nenu bere rocket science. I am starting allocations from the northwest corner. Is that clear, everyone? Everybody is clear with this? Why we call it as northwest?
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes, sir.
now allocations. How to start the allocations? That's the next question. Now, the first thing we already decided, I am supposed to start my problem from the element number 2. Now, what am I supposed to do with this 2? Please remember, in the entire transportation problem, we are doing a very important activity called allocation. Allocation smart. Now, what is the meaning in the funds fund? They allocate. What is allocate? Distribution of funds to different people. Similarly, I should decide how much I should allocate for this particular position. Each cell here, for this cell, how much I should allocate. For that, there is a simple logic. In logic, if I'm selecting this cell for allocation, what am I supposed to do is I have to see what is the corresponding supply value and what is the corresponding demand value. Compare both the values. after being selecting 2 as your allocation place, please compare the supply and demand. Can anybody please tell me for the element 2, what is the corresponding supply value?
5.
To the corresponding supply value.
5.
5.
5 is the corresponding supply
5.
value. Similarly, again for 2, what is the corresponding demand value?
7.
So between 5 and 7, I have to decide. Whenever a particular number is selected for allocation, always compare their corresponding supply total and corresponding demand value. Whichever is the minimum value between these two, that value has to be allocated. Please remember this very clearly. Once you have selected the element for allocation, out of these two, identify which is the lowest value. And 5 and 7, which is the lowest value now? Out of 5 and 7?
5.
5 is the lowest value. It means for O1 to D1, I am supposed to allocate 5. And then origin 1 is the destination 1. Totally 5 units of material I am transporting. That's what it means. Are you understanding the practical application of it? I am supposed to transport 5 units of a material from O1 to D1. So, here is possibility. Suppose in any problem, if both supply and demand are same, adu 5 ide, idu 5 ide, again what are you supposed to do?
5 at all.
The rule says minimum you should take. Suppose if both happens to be 5 each, then what are you supposed to do?
Take the same
5.
values. 5.
Take the same 5 itself, because 5 happens to be minimum value also and same also. Okay, your 5 allocation there doesn't end the problem here. After you do the allocation, the next important step is once this 5 allocation is already done from O1 to D, now this 5 becomes 0 because there is nothing to give anymore. Exhaust that particular supply is exhausted because already you have transported 5 consignment. Not only that, you should also subtract demand also. Out of 7, I have already fulfilled 5. Therefore, 7 minus 5 under this value will become 2. Ili tumba jana ili mistake ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಏನು mistake ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ you will do the allocations correctly, but you forget to subtract the values. This is very important. Please remember, whenever you do the allocation, after allocation, both in supply and demand, the values have to be changed. If you mark continue, then the problem will go wrong. Are you understanding the point clearly now? Once the allocation is completed, in supply also have to reduce how much I assigned, and in demand also have to reduce. So 7 only 5 exhaust. Now the value remaining will be 2. Did you all understand this step clearly, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Any doubts?
No, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
Yeah, please tell me any questions?
No, sir. Sir, it's clear.
No, sir.
Okay. Once this particular value is done, your next rows or columns which is become 0. Yada row or column will 0 ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ನೋಡಿ. Now in this entire problem, you can see that the O1 value supply becomes 0. Andre, it implies that there is nothing more to be done as far as the first row is concerned, because the entire supply is exhausted. Even if somebody wants to do any transportation there is absolutely nothing to transport. Andre, yava row or column demand supply value 0 agutte, that particular row or column should be spiked. Example, jora kodaka hogಬೇಡಿ ಅದನ್ನ, just for your reference. That means now O1 is not used for any more. Now, by removing O1 now, the matrix becomes compressed. The matrix becomes smaller matrix now because O1 is gone. Ivaga new matrix enaito O2, O3, O4. Only the matrix is now reduced to 3 rows. Are you able to understand now clearly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
From 0, it has to be removed. I mean, we are just draw a line indicating that this is not eligible for any more allocations. Now you can see, continue the next step. Now the matrix is now reduced to smaller matrix. Only O2, only O4 is there. The same logic. Again, you should start allocation from a number which is located in northwest position. You got reduced matrix, which is the northwest element now? Please tell me.
3.
3, exactly. Prati salano, I should always only look at the number which is in northwest position. Northwest andre yav barute? Left top position. So from the reduced matrix, the northwest element is 3. Same logic. Again, compare the supply, compare the demand, and see whichever is the lowest, that has to be assigned. Can you please read the answer now? For the element,
2, sir. 2.
2 is there. So 8 and 2, the minimum value is 2. So I can assign 2. So if I'm assigning 2 here, this will become 0 and this will become 6. This is a very important step. If you subtract, gone. Always remember to subtract in both the places. So it is 0 I2, it is 6 I. Once it is done, now next time what is the next step I'm supposed to do? After looking at the next columns over 0. Right? Strike the column. Iga yav column na nam strike out madbeku ivaga?
D1.
D1.
D1, sir.
0. So the first column has to be strike because it is 0. Now you can see that the matrix is further reduced. Iga further reduced matrix is to only this much. So this is the matrix reduced matrix. Now in the reduced matrix, can you please tell me which is the northwest element?
3.
Okay, very good. Now this is the reduced matrix. E matrix, okay, the northwest element is 3. So now I'm supposed to do allocation. So 6 is there and 9 is there. So 6 and 9 are the minimum value is to how much is the minimum value?
6.
Very good. So 6 if I'm assigning, this becomes 0 and this becomes 3. Okay, so this is 0 and this is 3. So once it is becoming 0, what am I supposed to do now? I'm supposed to strike which particular lower column?
Second row, sir.
Rows. O2 has to be cancelled.
O2.
Again, now you can see the matrix is further reduced. Now the matrix is only these 4 elements. Okay, 4 elements, which is the northwest corner element?
4.
Northwest, very good. So 4 is the northwest element. Again, compare demand and supply. So 7 is supply and 3 is demand. So which is the minimum value between these two?
3.
3 is the minimum value. Very good. So if I'm putting 3 here, so this becomes 0 and this becomes 4. So which particular row or column should be cancelled now or strike?
D2.
D2 has to be strike. Very good. So D2 is to be strike. Now you can see further the matrix is shrink. Only these 2 elements are left. So in this 2 element, which is the northwest element?
7.
Northwest element. Very good. So 4 and 18 is there. So I can give 4 because the minimum value is 4. Again, 0 and this becomes 15. So now which one has to be cancelled now?
O3.
O3, very good. So O3 has to be cancelled because it is. Now, if your problem is correct, if your solved entire value is correct, you will be always left with one value at the end. Nimma value is correct. This will exactly match. The supply and the demand value will exactly match. One last value right? So equal. That means that you have done some mistaken calculations. So now you can see that everything is 0 and the last values are exactly matching. So 14 and 14 is there and the only element left for allocation is 2. Here allocate madಬೇಕು. So 2 ಗೆ ನಾನು ಎಷ್ಟು allocate ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಇವಾಗ? How much I should allocate?
14.
14. So the entire 14 I am supposed to allocate here. This also becomes 0. This also becomes 0. Now the process is completed. So what does northwest corner rule method say? The problem has to be continued till all the demand and supply becomes 0. The problem becomes completed when all the supply and demand value becomes 0. However, all your supply and demand is transported and complete process is done. Is that clear now, everyone? Any doubts in this step till here?
No.
Is everybody clear about allocations now? How to allocate?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll have questions now. I want you to answer. Let me see whether you understand. Question number 1. how do you start allocation? ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು allocation? Where do you start allocations?
Northeast value, sir.
Yeah, the element based on the northwest corner
Northwest.
that should be selected for allocation. Very good. Point number 1. Question number 2. How much allocation should be done?
Minimum values.
Minimum of
Minimum
supply
values.
or demand.
What? Between what?
Demand and supply.
You should compare the corresponding demand and corresponding supply value. Amongst that, the minimum value has to be assigned. Very good. Question number 3. Which row or column should be removed from allocation?
The one which is zero value.
The one which becomes 0, it has to be further removed for the allocations. It cannot be considered for further allocations. Very good. And finally, up to where the allocation should be continued?
Until
the
the
last
demand
one
and supply
becomes
becomes
zero.
zero.
Until all the demand and supply becomes 0. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ value ಕೂಡ ಉಳಿದಿರಬಾರದು. No, none of the value should be remaining. If all demand and supply becomes 0, that means logically you have completed your allocations. ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ allocations complete ಆಯ್ತು. Allocations complete ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ the last step in this problem ಏನಂದ್ರೆ you are supposed to find your IBM. That is what your question is. You are supposed to find your cost. Initial basic feasible solution has to be calculated. How do we calculate? Please look at the board clearly. It's a very important step. Very simple also. The cost calculation is very simple. You should see how many cells will have allocations. Yes, two cells are allocations. We check one. LL allocations is there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yes.
6 cells in a given problem which has got the allocations. Now, when I'm calculating the initial basic feasible solution, it is very simple. The cells which have got the allocations, you have to multiply the value, and the unit transportation cost has to be multiplied with allocated value, and then add all the value. And the very simple 5 into 2. What is 5 into 2? 10. That is the first value. Plus second allocation 2 into 3. That is 6. Plus 6 into 3. 18. Okay. Plus next is 3 into 4, 12. Okay. Plus 7 into 4, 28. Okay. Plus 14 into 2, again 20. When you multiply and add, that is your final answer. Can you please add and tell me the answers now, everyone? Anybody? Please give me the solution for this problem. Add all these values.
102, sir.
1, 0. Very good. So rupees 1, 0, 2 will be answer. This will be asked in the exam for 5 marks. Very simple question. Okay. So the initial basic feasible solution or the transportation cost for this problem is 102 rupees. Suppose if the company decides to transport the consignment in this particular order, then the total cost they would incur is 102 rupees. Okay, so this is about the first method, which is called a Northwest Corner Rule method, and I am solving this problem for a balanced problem. Already the question is balanced, and therefore we don't have any modifications to be done. Very simple question. Okay, has everybody understood this method entirely? Any doubts or any
Yes, sir.
questions?
Yes, sir.
Everybody?
No, sir. Yes.
Okay. Is that clear now?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is the first
Yes,
method,
sir.
which is called the Northwest Corner Rule method. In fact, I wanted to solve other method also, but it's almost at 12 o'clock. It's okay. So I think we can continue next step. Do you have any other class after this, after my session today? Hello?
We might be having, sir. We might be having, sir, but we have not got the link yet.
Okay. I mean, otherwise, as per the timetable, do you have any class today?
As per the timetable, no other class, sir. Employability skills will be allotted, sir.
Oh, they'll do it at the last minute today.
Yes, sir.
No problem anyway. But anyway, I think now today it's fine. But hereafter, I think I might require some extra hours for OR, particularly because we solve numerical problem. So I think you might have to shell some extra time later, because we have a lot to cover in this chapter. So because if I can't afford to just solve one question in 1 hour. Anyway, today, since it's a first class and I wanted you to have complete clarity about the problem, I'd gone relatively slower. But maybe from next class onwards, I think at least on Saturdays, we might have to extend at least for 1 hour, 15 minutes or 1.5 hours, so that we can solve some extra problems in the class. Okay, should be all right?
Sure, sir. It's okay, sir.
Anyway, today we'll stop at this stage because I don't know whether what is being lined up after this. So I will solve some more problems on this. Maybe next class, I think on Monday, we'll solve some more questions on that. And then you can start practicing some problems. So I'm not going to share any questions today because today I had a plan to complete 2 methods and then ask you to solve the problem. Since I could not complete first method itself, it's okay. Maybe we can solve the next problem on Monday and I'll share the questions on Monday. Okay, so Monday you can solve the problem. So my request to you all is that please solve the problems on the same day. Today, in case if I have given a problem, you try to solve today itself or maximum by the next day. Otherwise, you'll completely forget the methods. Had it been a physical classroom, it's a different story because I have no idea about how many people have network issues, whether my voice is really reaching them. I have absolutely no idea about it. I'm just presuming that things are all right and I'm doing it. And therefore, your feedback at every point is very important to me. And since this is a numerical chapter and numerical subject as a whole, and 80% of the questions in the exam do come from the problems point of view, I want everyone to understand even the lowest and the smallest of the things in the problem correctly. All right. So that is my objective. So please make sure that everybody attend classes regularly, not like theory subjects where you just log in and vanish. Please don't do all that. Okay. So that, if we are there in the class, I think your understanding ability also will work. That's what I personally believe. Okay. Now, before we end the class for the day, I just want to ask one simple question to all of you. Were you all okay with the speed, tempo, and the way that things were explained to you? Is that okay with all of you? I make modifications.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We were comfortable, sir.
Very nice. Very nice. So good to hear. Okay, then I think we can go ahead with the same pace. So Monday we will solve one more problem on NWCR method, maybe with the unbalanced case, and then I'll move on to second and third method, and then we'll continue with the same. Okay. So so before we end, yesterday I think I had given some questions on inventory management. So did you all solve the questions? 4 or 5 problems which I gave the other day. Did you all solve?
Yes, sir.
Everybody? Okay. Can anybody please quickly tell the answers so that others can verify the answers? You can just say the question number and then keep telling the answers so that the people can verify whether they've got a similar answer or there is any mistake or something like that. Anybody would love to volunteer to say the answers?
So the first
some.
Yeah, please go ahead. Any one person so that there'll be clarity in the answers. Yeah.
The first one, EOQ is 900.
Okay.
The number of orders is 10.
Okay.
The reorder level is 1752.
Please tell the last answer once again.
1752.
Only 3 questions asked in the first one.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you all got the same answers, everybody in the class?
Yes, sir.
Great. Okay, go to the second question now. Question number 2, please.
Question number 2, the EOQ is 1549.
Okay.
The reorder level is 528.
Okay.
The maximum inventory is 2049.
Okay.
The minimum inventory is 500.
Okay.
And the average inventory is 1275.
Very good. Very good. So have you all got the same answers, the class?
Yes, sir.
Very nice. Great. Okay, go to question number 3 now.
The question.
Yeah.
Question number 3, the EOQ is 400.
Mm-hmm.
The reorder point is 198.
Okay.
And the minimum yearly cost is 240.
240. Great. So same answers, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Go to the last question, question number 4.
Question number 4, the EOQ is 134. Sir, we had a problem with the fourth one. Like, I couldn't get the correct answer with the fourth one. I had doubts there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what
Actually.
I mean, was there any problem with the data given there or calculation?
No,
was
not
some
the
mistake
data,
with it?
sir, but the
What was
calculation part.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, I don't have the questions right now. Let me just check the data once again later. You please remind me about this question on Monday. If I'm not
Okay,
carrying
sir.
that question with me, I'll just see what it is. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
anyway, was it a problem to everybody for the fourth question or only to Akshita?
No, sir, even I
No,
had
sir,
the same
even I
problem.
had problem.
Okay, okay. So, I mean, you mean to say like you could not solve the problem because the data was not appropriate, or how was it? What exactly the problem is?
Sir, the time is given in terms of days, sir.
Okay.
And if we, while calculating reorder point, we are getting answer in lakhs,
Ah.
whereas the question itself is in thousands. So that's not making any sense in the answer. So that's the doubt we have, sir.
Yeah, I think I got your point. Let me just check the question again. I think while writing the question, probably instead of year, I must have written wrongly there. Anyway, let me check it out. Okay, presuming that it is a common unit, what is the answer? You please go ahead and tell me. Forget about the units. That's okay. Just tell me the answers now.
So the time for the calculation of reorder point, we need to calculate the time, no, sir. So the time we'll be getting is 0.00558 months. So if we convert it in terms of days, it will be 2.04 days.
Okay, okay. So you have a confusion whether it should be converted to days or keep it as it is. That's the doubt.
Yeah, yeah, sir.
Anyway, I got your point. Let me just check the question once again. I think in a hurry, probably I must have written days or month. I don't remember. Let me check and I'll get back to you on Monday on that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So I think please do solve the problems because I could only see a couple of people giving the answers and others with a completely mum. It should not be like that. You have to practice. Only then you'll be able to have that confidence in solving the problems. Okay. So now what we'll do is, I think totally 3 sets of questions you have solved in inventory management, right? First set, second set, and 3 sets. 3 sets are given totally. So what you can do is, by Monday evening, you should be able to upload all these 3 sets together as single document. Don't make 3 different files now. You can just scan in your CamScan and make a single PDF, all the 3 sets of questions, and you can upload as the assignment. I will probably share the assignment link today, afternoon or evening, and you can upload maximum by Monday. Is that clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and please preserve all these assignments, whatever you're writing. Don't throw it off because that is also serving you as a note and preparation also. Okay. All the physical documents which are you're sharing, on Quick Learn, please preserve all the physical documents because we require once for assigning the internal marks and all that. Okay. So don't lose them or don't destroy them. Okay. I think I'm done with my part. So if you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, we can call it a day. Okay. So good to go. Can I end the meeting?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, nice. So please do practice. I think tomorrow you have your business analytics continued workshop, right? Morning session. I think 8 to
Yes, sir.
9:30.
8 to 10, sir.
Yeah, because Mr. Shankar is a very resourceful person and a very busy man as well. With great difficulty, we have got his appointment, and since he was busy from Monday to Saturday, he had requested us to engage classes tomorrow. In fact, I saw some of your messages in updates as well. I understand that at least you require 1 day a week because it's really getting hectic. I completely empathize, but only for this week, please do adjust because it was very difficult for us to get him on any other day, and that's the reason why you also requested to have session tomorrow. But anyway, you don't have employability class tomorrow, therefore only business analytics classes are scheduled tomorrow. But here henceforth we'll make sure that only on regular days like from Monday to Friday or Saturday we'll have webinars, and try to keep you free at least on Sunday so that you can have some time for yourself. Okay, so sincere apologies from our side because it was very inevitable. We could not do any other sessions. That's why we were forced to schedule session for tomorrow. Okay, I hope you understand, and we'll try to make sure that henceforth it is not done on Sundays at least. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. So have a nice day and nice weekend as well. So see you on Monday.
You too, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, sir.
Bye bye.